Thank you, Sierra. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's call this committee, this Parks and Rec committee meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, September 6, 2022. It's roughly 8:30 on time. We are. Thank you guys, and thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join this Parks and Rec committee meeting. It appears we have a quorum. I guess I'll do a quick roll call. Commissioner Carthen.
Present.
Gary Dukes.
Present.
Fred Perry.
Present.
And Chad, are you available?
Present.
Okay. Looks like everybody is here and accounted for. So with that being said, I guess we'll get into well, let me first start. Did everyone get a chance to review and take a look at the minutes? And are there any corrections or adjustments that's needed from the prior minutes that we need to do to these minutes? Hearing none, I guess that would mean that we're all good. So the minute stands approved. Gary, are we ready to kind of jump into the agenda?
We're ready.
Let's get her done.
Okay. The first item we have of unfinished business is authorization to purchase 4 units of playground equipment from Halsey Recreation to be installed at Billart, Fairplay, Deer Lick, and Woodrow Wilson Park from Sourcewell State Contract, pricing at a total cost of $371,283.32, which includes the installation. If you will remember, we talked about going ahead with 4 pieces of recreation playground equipment at a cost of no more than $400,000. So I gave the specs to our purchasing director. She sourced a state contract that we could buy from that contract at a savings of $24,755.52. So, and again, that includes installation. So, great work by her to find the state contract where we can just go out and purchase this at a savings. And I would like to get your feedback on it, see if we can move forward with the state contract.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we've already kind of approved this, correct?
Yes, we have.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought. And with that, you'll just kind of bring it back just so you'll let us know that we've got a state contract, if I'm hearing correctly. And there's a potential savings of about $20,000+. That's with installation and everything, and items going to the parks, correct?
Yes, it's not potential. It is.
Okay.
Yeah, $24,000 savings due to it being purchased on that contract.
And the only reason I say potential is because I don't want it all of a sudden it comes back because we ended up somehow finding a stone that had to be moved, and we end up having to spend that. So, but if you want to call it that.
Okay, yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Okay. Someone have a question, I think, or somebody want to chime in?
I might add that that's a piece of playground in each district.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, all right, we'll open the floor up for any comments on this particular item.
Commissioner Mitchell.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So I would like to make a motion to move this to the BOC for signature.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to move this item on forward with the potential savings of $20,000. Yeah. Okay.
2475.
2475. I think this is a great look. There's a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any other questions and or comments to this particular item in this motion? Hearing none, I'll call on each individual as to whether or not you agree to move forward with this motion by saying yes, or if not, oppose the same. Commissioner Carthen?
Yes.
Gary Dukes?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes.
Fred Perry?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell? Yes. and that items based on the motion carry a full 4-0 vote, and the item will move forward and we'll present it to the full board. And our next, as one of the agenda items for Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec committee meeting. So, anything else, Gary, on that particular item? That's it.
That's it, Commissioner.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next one.
Okay, next is new business. We would like authorization to apply for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources 2022-2023 Outdoor Stewardship Grant in the amount of $500,000 with a match of 25% of the total project cost of $125,000. It's the Department of Natural Resources grant. It's something we thought we might be able to use out at Punkintown Park to do some more development at that park. The lower area, we talked about a camping area for scouts, possibly a dock on the reservoir for fishing and canoeing. We haven't come up with the complete grants initiative yet, but those are, if you don't get on here early and get in, then you get left behind. So we wanted to ask permission for the grant, and again, it's $125,000 match.
125 in match on this one.
Yeah, $500,000.
City in for now.
Okay.
25% match.
That's what I was looking for, to make sure I know the numbers game here. So
Right.
that 25% is roughly about 125. Now we're just applying, correct?
Just applying. We just want the opportunity or the permission to apply.
Now, in applying for this, does that mean is it a $500,000 entirety, or it could be portioned out to be,
It could be less. It
Okay,
could be
okay.
less.
Okay, but you're applying for the entire piece of this.
Yes. Yes.
And what are the requirements outside of just Parks and Rec? I mean, what could some of this, and also could some of this be an in-kind type of a match?
Chad, you got any particulars on it? You want to chime in?
I don't have any specific particulars on it, no, sir. But we're looking at it for sure.
Yeah, I just moved it. I saw it come across my desk, Commissioner, and I moved it on to Chad, and I think he's put a couple of the staff members on it to start looking at it and seeing what we could do with it.
And Chad, so you don't know if there's any in-kind type of a match, or is it solely, just cash match, period?
No, sir. I'm not 100% sure. We did get as far as making sure that Douglas County was on the list, and we are on the list to apply for the grant.
Will you be able to find out during this whole process if this committee decides to move forward with this?
Yes, sir. I can find that out. Yes, sir.
Got it.
These grants usually do have a in-kind portion of it,
Right.
Commissioner. But I haven't read it, so I wouldn't say that, but they usually do.
Right. And most of them do, from my understanding, and
Yes.
the ones I've ever dealt with. I just didn't want to miss that. I mean, if we can kind of defer that cost to an in-kind layout because of the work that we're doing versus just cash, I just want to make sure if the option exists, then
Right.
we take advantage of it, though. So that's all.
The last two trailheads we built in grants from Georgia Department of Natural Resources, we definitely used in-kind.
Got it. And last but not least, this entire grant, if offered to Douglas County, is strictly looking at Punkintown, no other park.
Right.
Just nature. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
It would be for that park.
Understood.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes, sir.
Jill Hobson had her hand up. I believe she wanted to weigh in.
Okay, I didn't see that. Thank you, Brett.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, it can be an in-kind match. I have reviewed the application, and we can definitely leverage resources already available.
Very good.
Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jill. I appreciate it. And I apologize, I missed your hand. I didn't see your hand there. So, okay, let's open the floor. Anybody else got any comments to add, whether or not we should or shouldn't make any move on this? And I guess I'll start off with Commissioner Carthen if you want to chime in.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Mitchell. So my question is in regards to the time frame. Would this be awarded possibly within this year or next year? That kind of helps us to, as we're starting to move into budgeting, to kind of put stuff aside, whether it's in kind or strictly dollars or both, a combination of both. So do we know a time frame when they're looking to award this grant?
Commissioner Norton, I can answer that if
Sure.
you'd like me to. So it looks like it's going to be like a summer of 2023 that the applicants or the successful applicants will start the planning process, receive funds, and more guidance from the state.
Okay, so that makes a difference. That's good to know. And usually, either Jill or Gary, when counties apply for these grants, how often, one, have we ever received a grant? And two, what is the likelihood that Douglas County could? And three, is it possible that we may not receive all but some funds?
Yes, Commissioner, we have received grants. We've received grants, several grants actually, from the Department of Natural Resources. It could be a partial. We could get part of the money, yes. As far as the percentage, it's all about your application and how well you fill it out and how many points you score,
Okay.
as opposed to other people that have applied. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. And there's one other thing that I was going to ask. I've lost my train of thought. Thank you. I yield the floor, Commissioner Mitchell. If I can think of anything else, I'll let you know.
Yes. So thank you, Commissioner Carthen. So that, Gary, that as we stated, that number could be as high as 500 or as low as 0, correct?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Just trying to manage our expectation here. Okay. Anybody else, I guess, on the committee would like to chime in or have any other questions to add, kind of how we should move with this?
And again, Commissioner, we're just asking to apply.
Understood. Yep.
Okay.
Understood. I get it. Yep. I'm with you. I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, but I just want to kind of hear from everybody else and see kind of what their opinions about doing this or not. So,
Sure.
Anything on your end, Fred?
No questions, Commissioner Mitchell. I think all of the points have been covered. We'll be excited about, the opportunity to take advantage of that grant, especially, with it being earmarked for Punkintown.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely be utilized out there. So, in my mind, we can just move forward.
Got it. And just one other question. So, this being a nature park, nature is what this grant is coming from, and all this other good stuff. I guess that's why it's geared toward Punkintown, correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Got it. Because I know, and Commissioner Carthen may want to speak to this as well. I don't think we want to change the feel and the makeup and the attitude of that particular park, correct, Commissioner Carthen? We don't want to make it.
No, it's not for ball fields, that sort of thing.
Right.
We're spearheading it for outdoor recreation, nature type.
Understood. And I just want for the general public to understand, because I know sometimes people get crossed up and saying, well, why all this money? Why this? Why go to Punkintown? Why that Punkintown is not wanted it? Blah, 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 blah. So just want to kind of put that all out there so everybody will know, because they're going to pay attention to this meeting down the road and understand why Punkintown, again, looking at more monies toward Punkintown, basically.
It's passive recreation.
Yes, understood. Anybody else, Chad, or anybody else want to add from the committee perspective?
No, sir.
Got it. I guess I'll I don't know if David or you and Terry, any of you guys got anything to add to that or to this
I'm
conversation?
good, Commissioner.
Okay.
No questions.
Got it.
No questions.
Okay, on that note, so I guess I would look for a motion to kind of move this item forward or not. So I'll open the floor for a motion.
The move.
Okay, so there's a motion. Is there a second to move this item forward?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to move this item forward. Are there any other comments? Okay, when I call your name, if you'll just identify by saying yes that you support to move this item forward. If not, same like sign, okay? We'll start with Fred Perry.
Yes.
All righty, Commissioner Carthen.
1 second. Yes.
Okay, she's doing 2 or 3 things. Gary Dukes,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell, yes, a unanimous decision to move this item forward. Good job and glad. Let's hope that we kind of get this grant. Hopefully we'll get it in its entirety. And that was going to be a huge plus. But yes, let's move this item forward. And that item will pass unanimously to kind of move this item forward. With that being said, we'll go on to the next item, Gary, I guess.
Okay. Next item, new business. We are asking to purchase a 2023 Ford Explorer sport utility vehicle at state contract pricing at a total of $41,078 to be funded through the 2016 SPLOSH funds allocated for equipment. The purpose behind this board is the fact that we do not have a vehicle in our department that is designated for the administrative department or any department for that matter that needs to use a vehicle to haul people around. We have pickup trucks and basically vans and so forth, but if we wanted to, if we have a meeting with clients or we want to take the commissioners or a commissioner or several commissioners around to any of our areas or so forth in the Parks Department, we do not have a vehicle to do that. So we felt like we need, and this vehicle would be, it wouldn't be driven by any one person. It would be kind of our pool vehicle that if anybody in the department or needed to take people to a conference or take people to 3 or 4 people to go to training or so forth, it would be available because we don't want it assigned to one person and just put a lot of miles on it. It would be used for general purposes of that nature. And we do have the money left in our SPLOSH equipment account to purchase the vehicle. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah. Just one question though. So you just need a get around vehicle outside of the ones we already have in Parks and Rec, correct?
That's true, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Most of our vehicles are assigned to people to do their daily jobs,
right?
And most of them are old. So we wanted something that, like I said, someone could check out, if you will.
Right.
Anyone that needed to travel, anyone in the department. It could be our park superintendent needing to go to to a training session or something down in Perry or wherever. But yes, just a pool vehicle, if you would, because we don't have one.
Yeah. So Gary, and I don't know, and I apologize for not knowing this, but our fleet, we don't have a vehicle if needed to check out for us to do this, as opposed to trying to assign a $41,000 vehicle just strictly for, and I'm assuming this vehicle could be checked out by anybody outside of Parks and Rec, or are you saying that this should be designated to Parks and Recs only in our fleet?
Yes, no, we do not. We have, the only thing we have, to my knowledge, and I'm pretty up on our equipment, Commissioner, is some old vans that actually were handed down by the transportation department that we assumed. But as to have a quality vehicle, a newer vehicle that we, you know, could reflect our department, we don't have.
And
A
one
good
last,
image, I guess image is the word I'm looking at.
and one last question. So how often are you anticipating the use of this? Because it sounds like it'll be used only when there's a need, meaning we're doing some transporting commissioners and or you're doing some stuff from training and you and your team will need it to kind of go here and there to the various trainings. I'm assuming that's what you're looking to use this vehicle, I guess.
For the size of our department, we've always, you know, we always have people going to training, going to conferences, myself taking people to look at facilities, consultants, especially during SPLOST. When we have SPLOST, you have to sometimes architects, you know, that kind of transportation.
Okay, I got you. Okay, all righty. Let's open the floor up and kind of hear from the team and see kind of are there any other comments to add to this particular item. So the floor is open.
Commissioner Mitchell, it's Frederick. I just wanted to add that, you know, just going through this issue with our fleet and possibly utilizing some other vehicles that we may have, I can say with a surety that we don't have any spare, if you would, spare vehicles in our fleet right now. They're all assigned. Our fleet is aging, and I've been working with Heath and with Ross Clark to come up with a plan as to how we're going to remedy that. We have a lot of vehicles in our current fleet that have extremely high mileage, and as Gary mentioned, you know, the perception of our fleet is, you know, it's not really good right now. So we're working with possibly Enterprise to do some lease, working a lease program to help to overturn our fleet on a regular basis, maybe every 5 years or so. We haven't finalized that, and we'll possibly be bringing it to the Board of Commissioners soon. But to this point, this is another example of it. We were just dealing with this with the District Attorney's Office last week, trying to find a vehicle. Thankfully, we were able to find one. The department was not happy about giving it up, but you know, it was just on a temporary basis to remedy a situation in the DA's office. But just wanted to add that this is somewhat of an issue countywide, that we don't have enough vehicles, and the ones that we do have are aging. Yeah, they're aging, and we're working on that now.
You got it. And speaking of which, you kind of triggered another thought here, though. So have we, Gary, have we thought about this from a lease perspective versus a purchase, or both, to kind of see which is the better route to take on this, if we decide to go in that direction?
I have not, Commissioner.
Okay, cool beans. All righty, Fred, was that all you had there?
That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Carthen, I don't know if you want any comment. Okay,
Yes.
sure, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So my question is centered around, you may have said this, I just didn't hear you. So this would be coming out of your budget, Gary, or where would this amount be coming from? And then second, have you spoken with the purchasing director in regards to this, to see if we could also save money with this purchase?
The first part, Commissioner Carthen, it is SPLOST fund. Yes, we have the money in our equipment SPLOST account. And secondly, this vehicle is state contract. So
it is, okay.
It is on state contract. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if it's coming out of SPLOST, then it would be directly for your department. And okay, well, as long as you have it in the budget and you know the need needs for it, I don't have a problem with it. I did hear what Director Perry said, so I guess we do have the Board of Commissioners needs to look at this on a bigger scale. But thank you for bringing that to our attention. But I have no issues with it. It's under SPLOST equipment. So, how soon, Gary, are you looking to get it?
Well, we'd like to, go ahead, since the money's there, we'd like to go ahead and put it on the agenda for the commissioners as soon as we can.
Okay, so I make a motion that we authorize the Parks and Recs Department to purchase a vehicle from the SPLOST funds out of their equipment budget.
Got it. So there's a motion on the floor to purchase a vehicle for Parks and Rec at 4178. Correct me if I'm wrong in those numbers, Gary.
That's correct.
Okay. Alrighty. Out of the SPLOST equipment funds.
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Carthen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chad. Got it. Are there any other comments to this particular item before we vote? I just have one. So, Gary, you may know this, or David or Terry. How are we looking in that particular bucket? Are we strong, healthy, or are we kind of, because we're getting close to the end of this particular SPLOST?
That is the remaining of the money left, Commissioner.
Oh, so this will close that particular bucket out.
Yes.
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 Yes, it does.
Got it. All righty. This is the last spin, and it perfectly hit the right number, right time.
I saved it to the end.
Okay. All right. Okay. Are there any other comments about this particular item before we vote? Okay. Well, with that being said, we'll go around the room and cast the yay vote for those of you who would like to support this particular item moving into the full Board of Commissioners, or the same if you decide not to. So I'll start off with Commissioner Carthen.
Yes.
Fred Perry.
Yes.
Gary Dukes.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell, yes vote. Unanimous decision to move this item forward. Approve it, stand approved to move this item forward to the full Board of Commissioners with the said statement mentioned by Gary and myself earlier. All righty, Gary. Motion carries. Next item.
Okay, the last item we have, Commissioner, is a discussion item I wanted to bring forward and bring to your attention and to Commissioner Carthen's attention. First of all, I'd like to say that we have very little turnover in our department. It's rare, actually. Some of the lower paid positions in our maintenance, every now and then we'll have one, but it's rare to have turnover in our department. Except, there's a caveat to that, except in our park security division. We have 3 positions that are very low paying positions. I think they're 32, and correct me, Teresa, if I'm wrong, I think they're about $32,000 a year that we pay these people.
That's correct.
And that's correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we cannot keep, there's three of those positions. There's actually 3 of those, and then we have our parks security coordinator and her assistant. So we have a total of 5 full-time and 2 part-time. But these 3 full-time is a revolving door. They, like I said, they're 32,000, and I'm going to introduce Kelly Corporal. She's our park security coordinator, to give you a little idea of what these people do. What they do is they sign on as a park security officer, and after they're here 6 months, we take the time to train them, give them uniforms, radios, and then when the 6 month probation time is over, they turn around and go to the sheriff's office as as a jailer, but that's $6,000 more a year. That's probably the lowest the sheriff has. Or they go over to the inspection department, and again, well, 38,000. I'm sorry, because it's $6,000 raise they get. Or then they go over to the inspection department and take the job there. So you get the idea. Basically, they're using our positions to get their foot in the door and then go to another department where they can make $500 more a month. So we would ask consideration that something be done with his salary, at least to bring it up to $38,000. And now I'm going to let Kelly Corporal is our security coordinator, just so Kelly can tell you a little bit of the responsibilities that these people have. Kelly, are you on?
I'm on. Good morning, everyone. We are experiencing high turnover within the division. People leave because the job is stressful and demanding, but the pay is low. The officers' hours are not ideal. They work nights, weekends, and all holidays, and that includes Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. There are just 7 of us, and we operate 365 days a year. We respond to angry and intoxicated citizens, fighting in the parks, injuries, vehicle break-ins and accidents. There's also hikers lost on trails. And of course, we enforce the park ordinances, but we also close the parks nightly, which in and of itself can be stressful because we have to get everyone out of the parks. We have to check facilities and security cameras. And we have to lock restrooms and gates. So it's not an easy job. It's very demanding. We ask a lot of the officers.
Thank you, Kelly. So as you can see, it's, I can't stress enough, the weekends, these people have to work weekends and nights, just like the Sheriff's Department has to do. So, and all holidays, the parks have to be opened and closed every day of the year. So it is a demanding job as far as time and people that have families, they're away from their families, weekends, nights, holidays, again. So we're just asking consideration. We can't keep them. We would probably have a better chance if the salary was a little higher, especially to equal a jailer or to an inspector's office. We might have a little better chance to keep them, but it's just a revolving door. And, not to speak of the time that we spend, they have to be trained. Once they get here, they have to be trained. We have to buy them uniforms. And of course, 6 months later, they're gone in most cases. So just letting you know what there's only 3 officers we're asking for. So we're talking about $18,000 basically. Now I have the money in my budget to take them if you choose to address it. I have the money in my budget to take them through the end of this year if we wanted to do something. But of course, it would have to be picked up in next year's budget. But just letting you know what the situation is, Commissioner.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just a couple of questions though. So the 18 that you mentioned a moment ago, that's for only 3 of the 5. Am I correct?
Yes, those are the ones with the low salaries.
Okay.
Those 3, yes.
So those 3 are their starting salary was 32. If I heard you correctly.
That's correct.
Got
and a jailer and an inspector is 38. So, like I said, they get on, they get their probation in, and then they transfer.
And that probationary period of 6 months, that when the county allows anybody to kind of move and do other things if they so choose and apply.
I believe that's correct. Yes.
Is that correct, Fred? Just so I can make sure my thought process.
That is correct. They successfully complete their probationary period, and then they are able to move around.
And they can apply any position within the county's, employment. Correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay. All righty. Interesting.
I'm sure we're not the only people, that deal with that, but, when it's a low level job like that, of course, they're going to try to move and get some more money because the job itself is not ideal. I mean, if it was somebody that was working 40 hours a week, 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, they might stick in there a little while longer. But, we demand that they work on nights, they work on weekends, they work on holidays. So, I'm sure it's not just the money, but the money would certainly help to keep them in the position.
And correct me if I'm wrong, these guys are all full-time, correct? So
Correct.
Okay, so they do get benefits.
Yeah.
So how do you juggle, speaking of the holidays, the paid holidays with the county offers, and these guys having to work those holidays? Would they offset another date somewhere else? Or how do you guys juggle that?
I'll leave that to Kelly, but she does a tremendous job, making sure they're 40 hours a week, but they have to, we've got we have those 3 positions, and then you have Kelly and her assistant who also has to handle those duties as well. And then we have the 2 part-time positions. Okay. So it's a juggling act for sure.
Yeah, I get it. Kelly, how do you handle that? I'm just curious, and not, there's a correct answer in this. I'm just curious to know, how do you handle those that already get, those 3 individuals that already get those paid holidays like that, to work those holidays? Would they take another day off someplace else, or how do you do that?
If they work if one of their days that they're scheduled to work falls on a holiday, then they work that holiday.
Got it.
And they get straight overtime for the holiday.
So they get time and a half for that holiday, or just holiday pay?
Just the straight 8 hours extra pay. So they will get paid for the holiday because they're full-time, and then they'll get 8 hours of pay.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. What that mean? So they get 16 hours, I guess? I'm not sure.
No, they just get their regular pay. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes. In addition, because they're full-time, they also get 8 hours that all full-time employees get for the holiday.
So they'll still work the holiday, Thanksgiving, even though they should be actually a paid holiday for them, correct?
Correct.
But if it falls on their day, they just have to work, and that's just kind of how it works, I guess.
Correct.
Because they're not working, they're only working 40 hours a week, Commissioner.
I get the hours.
Yeah.
I just thought they supposedly get that day paid off. But maybe, Fred, you can help me understand that part of it, and then I'll open it up for any other questions.
Yeah, Commissioner, I believe that they get paid time and a half for that holiday that they work.
Okay, now that sounds like what.
Right, I believe that's what Kelly was saying, that they do get paid the overtime, and we'll check that and make sure that it's correct. But to my knowledge, if they're working on a holiday, they get paid time and a half.
Right. Is that true, Frederick? Even if they only work 40 hours, including that holiday?
Yeah, they should get paid that time and a half on that.
Okay. It's holiday pay of some sort, I guess. That's what
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll check that. And we'll confirm that with the finance commissioner to make sure that that's correct. And what I did want to ask Gary is, as far as the starting salary, have we done any benchmarking to find what other park security officers are making in the surrounding area. And I ask this because that's the issue that we're having. Another issue that we're having countywide is that, well, I won't say countywide, but with the number of positions that they get in and then they move around, with hiring being as difficult as it is, it's a gift and a curse in some respects because we want to keep them with the county. And, if they want to move around to a different position, we're hesitant to stop them from doing that because, even though we're opening up a vacancy in one area, we're filling a void in another. I would like to see what, if you could work with human resources to see, what others are paying in the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're in line with them.
Sure.
With the average, the prevailing wage for park security. It's possibly something that we can do with our merit system to put some boundaries around employees coming in, and within 6 months they're moving around to different positions. Possibly we could put some stipulations in for at least a year before they're eligible to move around. Not saying that would be the case, just a suggestion of sorts. But I have seen this in other departments where they're getting in and then they want to move over to the fire department or move over to the sheriff's office and so on. So that is something that we're dealing with other departments as well.
And Fred, let me add, what with the ARPA funds, with the 2-year adjustments and salaries and everything else what effect did that have on this particular position? Or can you just take a peek into that and see kind of what did that needle move this particular position?
Well, we did raise the starting salary to $15 an hour with that particular position. And those who were in it, I believe, received Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, they should have received a 10% increase.
That's correct. And 10% got them up to 32.
Oh, okay. So it did. Okay. So that's the effect then. Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay.
And Commissioner, to answer your question, I have checked. It's been several years. I don't know if Kelly has checked, but even a couple of years ago, I saw some security officers at $40,000 a year. Now, some of those have different requirements. Some of them even carry guns, which we don't allow that. But yes, I have checked a couple of years ago, and even a couple of years ago, there were several local security forces that made, in the mid to upper 30s.
Okay. Well, I'm like Fred. I think we need to definitely, do our homework, make sure that, surrounding counties and or, jurisdictions outside and what that looks like on their end with what they're doing. Not that that's what we will do, but at least we can have some justification of whatever adjustment we decide to make. Okay. Thank you, Gary. Commissioner Carthen, any comments?
Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes.
We'll do that. We'll get a Metro cost or a estimate of what these people are making across the metro area and bring it back to you. How's that?
That sounds good. But I still want to hear from Commissioner Carthen and anybody else that would like to have any comment. But Commissioner Carthen, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. So a couple of things. 32 is low, even if you're getting holiday pay. That's still low, but it is better than where we were. So Douglas County is moving in the right direction. So yay for that. And thank you to the Board of Commissioners for at least pushing the needle to move people. I've always said it's pretty low. It's hard to feed your family on $15, $16 an hour. But with that being said, we should also, and hopefully we can bring in our new HR director on this as to help us to move the needle a little further. So what I mean by that is taking a look at what you just said, Commissioner Mitchell, but also what is the increase for step raises, increase for, educating yourself, increase for as you move up the ladder. So if we move the needle to a point, we also want to make sure that people are wanting to get better in the position that they are in and not just skip around. I've always said this: we need, if you're looking to get an increase in your pay, what have you done since the beginning of your employment with Douglas County? Because the better you are, and the more educated you are, and the more experience you get in the position, the better you are to teach someone who's going to come behind you, and the better the county and the citizens are for it. So it's a win-win for everyone, whether you stay with the county or not. Being exposed, getting the education, making sure that you're meeting particular goals within the department that Director Dukes and Chad sets up for you. Those types of things are also good. So sometimes it's not really all about the pay. People do want experience, and they do want to, leverage themselves so that, they possibly can go somewhere else. We love for you to stay here, but if not, at least while you're here, you're bettering Douglas County citizens and the service that we're providing. So those are some of the things that I wish we could bring in our new HR director on as we look at the possible increase in pay. But $32,000 is low. Kelly, thank you for bringing it to our attention. But we have moved the needle a little bit. We're still, somewhat urban, a little rural, but we're getting there. We can't compete with Cobb. We can't compete with the sheriff's office because we just upped them too, right? So we had to do a lot. We have done a lot. This Board of Commissioners has put employees at the forefront because we know we can't do anything without them, and the constituents do encounter them more than they encounter, the five of us. So, so with that being said, I'm hopeful that Director Perry will take this conversation, and then our HR director, Ms. Tisha, and Kelly, and Director Dukes can all get together and put your heads together as to what would be the best compensation moving forward, and then the incentive to incentivize and put forth goals for that position. But thank you so much, and I yield, Commissioner Mitchell.
Thank you, Ms. Renata. Okay, so I think we're all kind of what we call saying the same thing. We just gotta kind of look at the bigger picture and not just kind of not just go in this direction just because we gotta incentivize it to where it makes a lot more sense to not only those that are doing the job, but those that are receiving the services that these guys are putting out. So, and I think if we make that more attractive and interesting and goal oriented, I think we'll find ourselves in a better position, because I think we are moving the needle as Commissioner Carthen stated. So with the Board of Commissioners done thus far. Okay, so Fred, I guess it's kind of one of those. I think you and Gary and the new HR can kind of at least huddle up and come back with some potential recommendations of how we move this and how do we kind of improve at this particular level. And do understand this is just not the only place where we're problematic when it comes to salaries and pay rates and all that good stuff. This is just only the beginning.
That's correct, Commissioner Mitchell. I just sent her an email, and we'll make sure that we take a look at the park security officers.
Mm-hmm. Good enough. Gary,
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to wrap up. Go right ahead.
I think we do have Ivy Wright on the line. She has a question. She states from Commissioner Robinson.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I just wanted to open it, if you will, just open it up for questions afterwards. Yes. All right, thank you.
It's open. Go ahead, Ms. Ivy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As it relates to the phase 2 for the activity center, does it still encompass a build out for the covered pavilion in the back as well as splash parks with seating? When will it be funded by Splash 2022?
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so let me do this at first. I'm assuming let's finish this particular conversation, and then we'll kind of open it up for any and other questions, because I see I got Dr. Gilchrist and a few others that will kind of open it up from that perspective. Let's end this particular conversation.
Thank you.
Okay. So stand by just a second, Ms. Gary, understand you and Fred understand kind of where we're going to kind of move this particular item?
Yes, we'll get together and, like I said, we'll do a survey of where we are as it relates to the other metro areas,
Mhm.
and come back with something, and possibly Frederick and our HR director can possibly give us a plan
Yes.
to present to you.
Yep, and at least give us some goals and objectives that we can kind of look at to see kind of how we can move the needle and incentivize these guys by wanting to stay in that position, because it's just not trotting around to the parks and closing them and opening them and that's it. I think it's got to be something bigger than that.
Oh yeah, it's they do a lot of public relations work for the department. They go in and check people, talk to people, make sure they know what the ordinances are, help people out. They jump vehicles off. If someone needs help, or like Kelly said, a lot of people get lost on some of these people get lost on the trails, and we have to go out and find them. So it's pretty comprehensive, the job details that they have to accomplish. So we'll put it all down in writing and present it as well.
Yes. So put something in the writing that we can kind of look at and digest, and then we can kind of decide on how we move it, what the next move should be. But so let the guys know that, so you guys understand we're definitely taking a look at this. We just gotta look at a bigger picture than just, because I think this is only the beginning, Fred, as I said earlier, of where we problematic when it comes to just pay rates and salaries and all that good stuff. So, but this is the first step of many. Anything else on this particular item? Gary, anything else on the agenda? Was that the last item before we open it up for any other comments?
That was it, Commissioner.
That was okay. All righty. Now, Ms. Ivy, I guess if you want to kind of chime in, and the floor is open for any and everybody else, but I'll start with Ms. Ivy, that she wants to kind of chime in about an item that she wants to want us to address.
Will you like me to re-ask it?
If you would, please.
Okay. As it relates to phase 2 for the activity center, does it still encompass a build out of the covered pavilion in the back, as well as splash parks with seating, which will be funded by SPLOST 2022?
Gary, do you want to address that?
Oh, that's an issue that hasn't been addressed with the county administrator or the commissioners.
Right. I don't think it's an issue though, Gary. I just think but you're right. We need to address that side of things when we talked about that covered side of things that we delayed based on the mere fact of how it would be a part of that when the build out and all the other things that came along with that. So here's what we can do, Ms. Ivy. Look, Gary, why don't we put together, and I think between David and others and Terry and these guys, because there was a reasoning as to why we kind of delayed that side of the build out. And I don't know, David, you can kind of speak to this, or we can kind of report back to Ms. Ivy so she can report back to Vice Chairman Robinson as to kind of what that is and what the future of that looks like, or if that's going to happen because of what reasoning as to why or why not.
Well, the one thing that I do remember is that, there was that level 1, level 2, or level 3 that gold, silver, platinum set up, and we end up going with the gold and not the platinum, but we build out to the ability to have platinum if money was secured, through other funds. So I believe that's what Ms. Ivy might be referring to.
Yes, well, what she's speaking of is that there was a covered side of things that we talked about a while back, and to attach that, to do it that way, it may compromise if by chance the build out that we looked at trying to do in this particular unit, it may compromise that build out. If we add that, then we'll have to tear it back out. Gary, help me out. I just remember that vaguely as to how that went, if we decided to do that or not.
I think you're right, Commissioner. I think that patio area. If it was never decided when that would be done. It was just built that way in case somewhere down the road. Now, whenever that would be, the commissioner's decision. If the expansion was done, that's where it would go. It would go out that way. So you're correct. Anything that's done, a cover or anything of that nature would probably have to come down if the building was expanded.
Okay, that's what I thought. So here's what we'll do though, Ms. Ivy, and I noticed that I get where Commissioner Robinson is going with this, but I think we need to kind of do a little bit more homework to decide on if that build out happens, how and if it does, this is what it could be. And if we do build out that building, which that was the whole ideal of building it the way we built it, if that happens, then that will be something that we would put in $20,000, and I'm just using a number, to build a cover that will have to be torn out and then kind of anchored to build out the rest of this particular building. Because it was designed that way, David, correct me if I'm wrong, to build out, to continue this based on the mere fact of what we could afford at the time.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So don't have a true answer, Ms. Ivy, but for you to kind of take back to Commissioner Robinson, but I think that's kind of where it was last left as to where we are with that side of things. So
I think Commissioner Mitchell, at some point, if when we get ready to pursue this, we'll need to get the architect back and get him involved in it.
yes.
To get, even if it's preliminary, see what we could do and where it would go and how much it would cost. Just preliminary figures, so it gives us an idea.
I agree. So let's at least, let's not let this go unnoticed. So let's kind of see what that looks like and start trying to see what it could be if it's built out, and if it's strictly a covered and that's all it becomes, what that looks like. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Ivy, hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think I saw Dr. Gilchrist. Anything on the senior side of things, Dr. Gilchrist? I know we got to move this thing along because I got to start heading out, to the meeting. So.
Good morning. Nothing pressing, Commissioner Mitchell.
Okay, all righty. The floor is open for anybody else. I don't want to miss anybody that may have would like to have some comments. So the floor is open.
One thing, now they're going to something else.
But I hear silence. That makes me think that we've covered all the grounds that need to be covered. Okay. Well, on that note, I guess I'll say, David and Terry, anything on your end before I close it out?
Nothing on my end.
No, Commissioner, I'm good. We did get back to the cover, and when we did get the contract to give us some prices on that, so I'll be glad to get with Gary and get him those. It did get quite expensive just for a cover.
Yes. I think that's why we pulled it out, though, right, Terry? Because of how much it would have cost to pull it off, and then it may be removed if we build out, correct?
That's exactly right, yes.
So let's put those things back in front of us, so we can at least, acknowledge these things here and decide on why or why not. So. And also, Commissioner, I believe that some of the round tables, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but they also come with ability with an umbrella in the middle of it, correct?
That's correct.
Yes. And that was going to be what I call the small fix that we came up with, as opposed to the retractable cover and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, the retractable cover got quite expensive, and
oh yeah,
that's why we got the tables, and they always have the umbrella.
Right. It's coming back to me. I remember all of this though. So, okay, if there's not anything else, Commissioner Carthen, are you all good?
I'm all good.
Okay, so guys, with that being said, if there's not anything else that comes before the Parks and Rec Committee meeting, this meeting stands adjourned, and I'll see you guys at 10 o'clock. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All righty.